Good afternoon. I am in rainy Florida right now, and I wanted to say a big hello and welcome to everybody who's on the call this week. I noticed for a change as I log in that there is not a list of open questions yet. Any questions you have, use the question tool to put down here. Otherwise, I'll just give you a few quick announcements and cover any topics that you post either in the chat or in the question that you want to go over on this call. So first of all, first thing I want to say is a little bit of an apology, just because I've hired a few people to come on board now that Mago is launched and we've got a little bit of traction. I've been able to hire some staff to take over some of the back office work, some of the support workload. But the process of kind of training and onboarding people is taking a little bit longer than I'd hoped, but it's going well. And so the good news is, kind of coming out of the holiday season, going into January, lots and lots of great things are being added. But a few little things that I wanted to build out sooner rather than later were slightly delayed. So, bear with me in that. The other thing that I've been doing as a result is just making sure that I prioritize all the time that I spend with anybody who has any questions, who needs any help. I spend a lot of time on the Facebook messages. I spend a lot of time on the support tickets, emails, and everything. Just really want to make sure that you're all getting as much success out as you possibly can, as much value out of Mago as you possibly can. So that's been my primary focus, and will continue to be until the same level of support and service can kind of be guaranteed for everybody else as well. The other big thing is, just looking through all of the feedback, and I've gotten really great feedback from everybody who started using the software. I want to create a forum. There's been a few requests for like a Facebook group, a discussion group, and I think that's a great idea. The other thing that I want to add in here is essentially to give you all a little more kind of control of the direction that things are going. There's a lot of great feature requests and things like that of them coming in. Now, obviously, historically, I've kind of taken these things and evaluated everything and prioritized accordingly. But I want to put you more in the driver's seat so you can see all the ideas that are in the pipeline. You can actually vote for what is most important to you, what is second most important to you. That way, I can keep building a product that's going to deliver you all kinds of value. So I'm really excited about that. Watch for an announcement on that front as well. The last thing that I wanted to mention just briefly is just as a piece of advice for people who are signing up, who are starting out. I guess it's, I think the best way to put this, what I really want to do is make sure that you're not getting overwhelmed. There's a lot of people are pushing very hard to get all of their automation and all these different things set up before they really start using Mago. And my advice is, one of the things that I was very deliberate, very careful about when I was putting this all together was to build it in such a way that you can grow into it. So think about this in terms of, maybe you're not automating all these different steps. Maybe you haven't created or edited all these templates, but that's not necessarily required to actually start getting value out of the system. I mean, probably the things that I would do, the first thing I would do is I would put the contact for my website and maybe create whatever notification templates around that you would use. And there's already some that are set up that you can use. Maybe you want to customize those. But get that on there so all of your new inquiries are flowing into Mago. And from there, something comes in, you're going to get the notifications. So click on that link, jump into Mago. And if you don't have automation set up to respond to that, then just click the compose email. And if you don't have a template yet, then just write that email, or maybe start writing templates as you're responding to gigs. That way, you get a new birthday party inquiry. Okay, So the first time, maybe I'm going to copy and paste my birthday party inquiry into the template editor, and I'm going to add in all the merge fields. So maybe on day one, that's what you just create one template, or you create a couple templates, and you might send out your email, and you might just schedule a follow-up to go out the next day. And then as you've done this a couple times, and as you've got a few of these templates in place, then you can step back and say, you know what, I'm really happy with this email that goes out, this follow-up, this kind of process. Let's put that into routine. And then over a period of days or weeks, you're using the system and getting a lot of the benefits out of it right away, but you're also starting to evolve the automation piece. So you don't have to go and, before you start doing anything, write all these templates and build all these routines and test all these things out. Just use the compose and schedule features. Get all your gigs flowing into Mago. Use those compose and schedule features to get things into there, and then over time, as you start to kind of get into a groove with the process that you're following, then you can start to build the automation routines. Then you can go through the import. Because one of the big things, like I said, I tried to do is to make sure that you can start getting value out of it immediately. Like when I showed Barry it for the first time, I just gave it to him, let him start setting it up, and he's sending out contracts and going through that whole process. Now obviously, you're going to get more value out of it when you have that automation, but don't let that be an obstacle to getting some value out of it on day one, a little more on day two, a little more on day three, rather than going days and days and days, just work and getting nothing out of it. So that's kind of my advice there. And we got a couple of people in the chat. Hello, Tobias, Sora. Tobias, I was actually having dinner with somebody from Germany, and I was showing him your robot. In fact, I was saying, this is the guy you need to get for your trade show. I think that's a phenomenal product you've got there, and I don't know if you've seen this. Knox the robot is I've never seen anything like it. I one of these days I'd love to talk to you and ask you about it. Hello, Sora. Sora, hello from New York. But really, beyond that, I've kind of covered the announcements, covered the main things I wanted to talk about today. Are there any questions out there? Tobias, I know you had a question about. In fact, let me just go look this up really quick. We'll talk about this because I can get some clarification about that. Let's see. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk to you about VAT in Germany. Can we? I don't know if you can answer in the chat. The main thing that I was curious about. So a lot more features coming out, especially to support some of the process in other countries. One thing, Tobias, I don't know if you noticed that I've recently added into the oh, and Patrick as well. You guys both can give some feedback. So added a salutation to the contact form, a few other fields in there, or the contact record. The main thing, just want to make sure, just can kind of confirm my assumptions, I guess, about how the taxes work in Germany. So if I have three options, I have option 1, option 2, option 3. And option 1 is, let's say, 1,000 euros. Option 2 is 3,000 euros. Option 3 is 5,000 euros. And they picked up the they picked the 5,000 euro option. Now, normally when they select the option, it goes through and it calculates the deposit and the fee. For Germany, if you've got tax, if you're charging VAT, if you're charging, let's say, 19% VAT, would the fee be 5,000 euros? Or in other words, is it assumed that the quote is inclusive of VAT, or should the calculated fee be 5,850 euros, which would be 19% on top of 5,000? If Patrick or Tobias, if you could comment in the chat there, that would be great. And Carol, you said you've got. So 5,000 would be the net. In other words, that would be, so it'd be 5,000 plus VAT. Okay, so that gets calculated on top of okay of that. All right, so Carol, you said you've turned off your text alert on your form. The things that I would check, the two things that I would check, if that's the case, first thing I would check is look at the form under automation, click on forms. In fact, I'll just share my screen. Let's see. And I'm going to hide this. If you are not receiving text messages, a few things to check. First, under your contact form, just pick one of these. If click edit to edit that form, and we'll jump all the way down to notifications, the last step, step 5, and make sure that there's something in here. If there's nothing in there, it's not going to send you a text message. That's the first thing to check. The next thing to check is to go into Profile, top right corner, click on Profile, and make sure that you have your SMS number set. Carol, you're in the US, correct? I'll just wait for that chat there. Okay, yes. So you want to make sure that your phone number is in this format. So it would be +1 and then your phone number. And that's all you'd add in. So this is kind of the full international format, and that'll make sure that that's going out to you. And if you're still having problems after checking those two things, let me know, and we'll dig a little deeper into. You can create a support ticket from there. Let me jump back to the chat. So Patrick, you're saying for detailed quotes like invoices. Okay. So for private or school, it's inclusive. Okay. So in other words, Patrick, I just want to make sure that I understand this correctly. When it calculates, so maybe you should have an option. You have a tax field in the record, a tax percentage, because maybe a school might be tax exempt. I don't know. So that might be 0% VAT. When you're saying so you would quote a client, a corporate client, a business client, 5,000 plus VAT, and for a school that would be 5,000 inclusive of VAT, or is the school 0% VAT? Okay, so you are charging a tax, but it's just already factored in. Okay, great, thank you. That's what I need to know on that front. So I will get those features wrapped up and deployed here, so it's doing all the calculations correctly. And still, so essentially the way this would work on the gig is there'll be a checkbox, so you can say you have a tax rate and then a checkbox that says calculate tax at booking, and you can toggle that on and off as necessary. Yes. So the other thing that I would add on that is, so for your business, you would have a default tax rate, and because some countries there's always going to be the same. They're always going to charge the same GST, but what you can do is the tax rate is going to be set per event. So you have a field that will be, just like if I go to go look at a gig, just like we have, and let me just pull this out so you see all the fields. Just like we have a mileage charged and things like that, billable miles, taxable miles, mileage rate, things like that. Just like we have that per gig, we'll have a tax rate per gig. So you might charge a different, if you charge mileage right now, you might have a different mileage rate for different events. Just like, so you can override that. So you'd have a checkbox for your tax, whether it's taxable or whether you want to calculate the tax or not, and then there'll be a tax rate. So you can either enter that in, or probably what you're going to do realistically with as you start to use more and more of the automation features, what would really happen is you'd have, quoting a corporate event, the first thing it's going to do is set your tax rate. It's going to kind of set the defaults for the gig, just like I do with, if I jump into the routines here so you can see this, just like I do with some of these, general sales processes where I might already be filling in quote information automatically because it's always the same. Part of the sales process would be automatically filling in tax and your, and the settings for that particular gig. That will give you the tools to that'll give you the tools to kind of book that for the event, but to have that feature, but give you the flexibility to use it in the way that makes most sense in the situation. So the other thing is having that itemized on the invoice. So that's the other thing. Either way, the fee, the number that's going to be in the fee field is going to be your total, is always going to be the total amount. That's how much is going to get charged. If they go to pay with a credit card, for example, that's what's actually going to get charged. So, okay, that's interesting. Got it. The final fee is the total amount that's going to get charged, but we'll put a subtotal of tax and a total thing. Patrick, I'd be interested to see a little more how you're working the giveaways and things into the process here. So at some point, I don't know if there's a way we can get on one of the Zoom meetings. I'll send the calendar invite out to you, and we can find a time to go over that, because I want to make sure that we're covering all these scenarios. So like what kind of giveaways, different, I want to talk through a few different booking scenarios to make sure we're kind of covering everything. That makes sense. But yeah, so the subtotal, tax, and total will all be visible as fields that can be calculated on the invoice. Great. I'll send you an invite for that, and I'll also show you kind of everything that's been built into there so far, so we can make sure that this has all of the different aspects that are necessary. And I'll jump back to the chat. Is there anything else that we'd like to cover on this session? Well, one other thing while I'm waiting, if anybody's typing, I love the webinars. I think they're phenomenally useful, but I want to make these more visible. So, kind of coming soon, I'm going to start putting the. Oh, I didn't see that, Mike. I'm sorry. I'm going to start putting the webinars kind of just in a little pop-up in the corner, just as some reminders there. Mike, a couple questions. How to track opens and clicks from email sent. Custom fields when creating leads. and not need to create it every time. All right, well, the first one, tracking opens and clicks from emails sent. Opens are tracked automatically. In fact, if I jump back into here, let's just pick a lead. I don't know if I have another lead in here. So whenever an email is sent, we have a little, this little icon here indicates in your history, there's an icon that indicates, what type of history item it is. This is just a note. This is where I was demonstrating how I might record a set list. So I have that in the notes for the show, or I might put other notes in here like interactions, memorable moments, funny things that have happened. Putting these into the show notes really allows me to kind of leverage this database. It's not just contacts anymore. It's not just my schedule. It gives me a complete view into the business. It's almost like being able to go back in time and relive that. So when I talk to somebody and they still remember the event, I still remember with the same clarity that they do, and people really respond to that. They really appreciate that because then it doesn't feel like, oh, that was just another show for you. You enjoyed as much as I did, which validates me as your customer, really loving the whole event. So, I've got show notes in here. This has this kind of little document. This indicates the notes. This indicates that it is an email because it's got that little envelope. But the fact that this is green actually is telling me that, here, I'll zoom in on this. The fact that it's green is actually telling me that the email has been read. I'm really going back and forth on the click tracking, and I'll tell you why. I actually really want to make this. Okay. I'll look at Patrick and see why that is, because I know I just saw your note there, Patrick. But let me go back to the email tracking, the click tracking, really quickly. So open tracking right now. This just has kind of a standard. Has email been opened? High on my list of work for Luke, who's one of the new developers on the team, who's doing a few other tasks as well, is to give you a little more visibility into this. So it's not just, oh, has the email been read or not? What I really want to see is how many times has it been read? How many unique views do we have? In other words, how many different people have read it? Give you a little more perspective into that, because I think there's a lot of value in that. In terms of the click tracking, I had turned that on, and I had that turned on a while ago, but I started getting complaints. Certain corporate firewalls were actually blocking messages, and so somebody said, hey, my client is saying they're not getting my emails, and we start looking through the whole process. And I said, well, okay, this happened. It definitely sent. They definitely got it. Is it in their spam? No. Okay. And they contacted their client and said, can you find out what happened to the email that I sent you? And so they contacted their IT department, and the IT department said, well, okay, it got flagged as potentially being a phishing email. And the reason for that was because the way click tracking works essentially is when you have a link, maybe, in fact, I'll show you a perfect example, because Google does click tracking. If we search for something, we'll just search for Google Doodle, right? See this, and it looks like these are regular links. In fact, if I hover over Google Doodle Wikipedia, on the very bottom of my screen, I don't know if you can see this, it says en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Google Doodle. This is not the actual link. If I click on this, that's not where it's going to go. We have to dig a little bit deeper. In this case, I'm going to right-click on it, copy the link address. And what it actually is this. I'll show you a different view here so you can actually see the code behind the link. This whole thing, if you can, this whole thing right here that I'm highlighting, that's the actual link. So what Google's doing is they're overwriting the link with this other link, and that's going to Google's click tracker. In this way, they know what links you're clicking on, and they're using that to learn more about you to help tailor your search results to you. But this is fine on the website. But normally when you see an email or see a link that looks like it's going one place, but it's actually going somewhere very different, that's very commonly a phishing scam. In other words, it takes you to a claim. These are emails that claim to be from your bank or from some legitimate source, but what they actually are is they're impersonating whatever that source is, and they give you a link that looks like it goes to PayPal.com or Citibank.com, and it actually goes to some completely different site. And the login screen looks like your bank site, and then you try to log in, something happens, and now they've got your login and password. So that's one of the things that happens from time to time when we do that. So click tracking, I use it like the email program that I use to send emails out every time. It actually does click tracking, but that's going to affect emails getting to your inbox. And because I didn't have a way to turn it on or turn it off, it was kind of for everybody or for nobody. I made the decision to turn it off until we have a little more control over that. Because if you're sending out a proposal, I definitely want to make sure that that it gets into somebody's inbox. So that was the big concern with click tracking. I definitely want to bring that back because all of these metrics I think are huge. And not only that, having the system tell you, hey, this person read your email 9 times and they forwarded it 3 times. They've clicked on this link 11 times. This is a hot prospect. Having it highlight that right there on the dashboard, highlighting this, tagging it as hot prospect, that's the kind of thing that I want to know. I want to know somebody, one person never looked at it at all. This other person is really, really hot. Really, really excited about what you're offering. So that's really valuable information. So still working on different ways to do that, to visualize that, but yeah, that's definitely coming. That's just definitely going to keep getting better and better, because right now they've read it. Soon you'll know that soon you get more information, and then eventually I'm going to allow you to enable click tracking kind of on a per account basis. The other thing I'm just going to tell you, I was going to save this for Christmas, but I'll just tell you now, getting more alerts about these things, getting some real-time alerts as things are happening. Like you send out an email, you get a real-time little notification that pops up just kind of quietly on the side that says, oh, so-and-so read your email, so-and-so just clicked on your link. So-and-so's birthday is coming up. All these little notifications are going to start creeping into your visibility outside of Mago. So sending notifications, push notifications to the mobile app, maybe mobile notifications, just like if you're active on Facebook and use Chrome, when you get a new Facebook message, it pops up on your computer, not in your browser, but on your computer, getting a little notification there. The same kind of thing if, for the notifications that you really care about. Let's see. So the other one is creating custom fields when creating leads. I guess I don't understand what you mean when you said that you want the custom field to always be there and not need to create it every time. Because you don't really create custom fields. They're always there. If you always want it to be populated, then certainly making that a step in whatever automation you typically use would take care of that. So if we go, let's say, if we just jump back into here. Let's see, where was I? If we jump back into the automation here, let me close this down. We don't need that anymore. If you want to fill that in, let's say then you would just add this step to your automation that says update record, and then you'd fill in, let's say it was custom one, whatever value. And so when I run this now, every time I run this routine, it's gonna fill in custom one to be, the value. The other thing about creating it, maybe just for me trying to understand this, if a value, just kind of part of the whole focus thing is in Mago is that if you don't have any custom fields set, then they don't appear down here. The way this whole form works, because there's so many fields and that you might use different fields for different things, you'd end up with this really busy form with all these empty fields in it. So when you're just looking at the record, it just shows you whatever information you have. If you want to add something in here, just the very act of adding something to the database itself just causes that field to appear. So you don't actually create them. It just hides anything that doesn't have anything important to tell you, if that makes sense. When you prospect to create a ton of leads, then go back late and reach out to those prospects. So, I see what you understand. Now I understand. Okay, so you want the custom fields in this. So when you go into here, if you say new lead, for example, and you're filling it in, there's no custom fields in here, right? That's what you're saying? Okay. One of the things that I do, yeah, we can certainly put more stuff in that form. As these are being updated, by the way, the other form that's going to get a little more treatment is the contact form, to be able to put tags at creation as well. But one of the things I do a lot, if I'm doing kind of a lot of one-off data entry, if you will, as I'm doing a lot of one-off data entry, I actually create custom forms for whatever custom data entry I'm doing. One example was gigmasters.com, right? If I want to just quickly enter the information from Gigmasters into Mago, I just dragged over all the fields that I want, and then I have a form, and I just use the link here. So that's got the tags in there as well. And then I just take this preview link, and then I'll bookmark this. And then every time a lead comes in from Gigmasters, I enter the date, the venue, all the information that we have from there. And so you can put your custom forms in there. And this would be a way. This is what I do when I do a lot of like single entry input. The other thing that I do is when I'm using, let's say, a company, one of the things I do when I didn't this year, but previous years for the holidays, I hire somebody whose job is to go and call up. I'll go buy a mailing list, and then I'll hire somebody whose job it is to go and call companies in my area that meet a certain criteria. They've got to be a certain size. They've got to make a certain amount of money. They've got to be in certain industries. But I've got my little criteria for that, and then I give this list of 600, 1,000, 2,000 companies to my to somebody who does outbound calling. I give them that list, I give them a script, and they go and they call up each company, and they say, "Oh, I was hoping you could help me out. Who is in charge of planning your holiday parties and your special events, like your meetings and your holiday parties, things like that?" And we try to get a name and an email address and ask if it's okay if we send some information about, some new and different party ideas, entertainment ideas for their party. And by going through that process, they say, yes, we do. No, you can't have their name. Yes, we don't plan events. Or yes, we do. This is the person who does it. Or a lot of times, what really surprised me is they say, yes, we do. And I'm really glad you called because we have no idea what we're going to do this year. We've done this option to death. We've done that option to death. We want to do something different. So I go through that process, and I And I just give them a spreadsheet, because when I buy the mailing list, it comes to me as a spreadsheet. And I just add some fields in there, and then they go in and they put in their notes and things like that. But with Mago now, the way that I'm going to do it, I didn't do any holiday planning. I didn't do any prospecting for holiday parties this year because, you know, I really wanted to focus all of my energies on building and, you know, and improving Mago. But I'm sure next year I'm going to be doing holiday parties, so I'm going to go through that process again. And in that process, I'm essentially going to give them the Mago import spreadsheet. I'm going to put all of my prospects in that spreadsheet and have them go call and put notes in and do different things like that. And then that way, when they give me the spreadsheet at the end of as the deliverable of the order of the job, I can take that spreadsheet, put it straight into Mago, and now I have everything, and my email addresses and my notes, you know, and people to call, things like that. So I can schedule calls for the future in there as well, and put other to-dos in there. So that's another option, another thing that I would do. Send the form link through email. All right, let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. Oh yeah, that form link, you can. I tend not to. I mean, there's nothing wrong with sending that link. You know, because in fact, if I just jump into here, this link, it doesn't require. This is completely anonymous access. In other words, you don't have to be a Mago user or anything else to get to the form, and that way, because this is the exact same form, this is the exact same thing that you see embedded in your web page when you copy and paste the form code. It's the exact same link, the exact same thing. It's just so yeah, they don't need to be logged in to see that. Let me jump back to the chat, make sure I haven't missed anything. Mike, does that make sense in terms of using the form and then using the import for some of these things? I mean, obviously, more fields are coming to those creation windows, but these are things that you can do right now today. And will probably make you more efficient anyway, because going in and entering leads through the general form is great if it's just kind of a Q&A process. But if you've got like a very specific way that you're entering these things in, and you're entering them a lot, that you've got one screen instead of like 5, and it creates all the different things, so you don't have to kind of go off and create a contact, go off and create a company, go off and enter the information, then go back and edit. You can put everything you need on one custom screen. So let me know how you get on with that. So Sora, the other thing is the invoices, the unique numbers. So I built an auto number feature for the invoices. I'm going to put that out there and get feedback from folks. So watch, and you'll probably see a video soon on how to use that, how to work that into there. But like if somebody wanted it today, if you've got somebody who says, "Oh, send me an invoice. I want to see an invoice number on there," I would probably go and click generate. I would probably, you know, if somebody wanted it today before you had a chance to kind of modify your templates and things like that to use the auto numbering, probably what I would do is just go in and click generate document. I'd pick my invoice template, and I would say, you know, I'd go in here and say, let's see. Whatever, you know, put that in there somewhere, and then I would go and email it. But watch for the video explaining the, you know, how to use that, some of the things to be aware of as you use it, and then you can start working on that. I'm just going to read back through the chat here. That makes sense. New prospect. Yep. All right. All good stuff. Anything else while we're all here? You know, this is a good opportunity. I like that. What's kind of cool here, the synergy of this. Wow, I just said synergy. I feel like I'm in some corporate meeting room somewhere, trying to sound smart. But no, this is a nice forum, and I like this. And my intention is to kind of keep doing these. But I am going to change the way that these are notified. People are notified of the webinar, so we get more people, because I think a lot of people just don't know these are happening right now, because they get the first invitation and they haven't dug deeper, or they haven't asked about it, because it's not published anywhere. So putting those in there, those little reminders, hey, by the way, there's a webinar in 3 days. Getting that information out there. But I like this because getting feedback. It's nice when we're answering other questions and things like that for other people. So give you just a couple more minutes here. I'm going to read back through, make sure I didn't read anything. Sorry, I didn't miss anything. Ohio. Getting the add-on services to show up in your invoice template. Yes. Not only am I one of the things. So getting the birthday in there, that's pretty much set. But the main thing is part of the notifications that are coming are giving you some notice of somebody's birthday. So you've got like a week notice and then a day notice, and then also. Do you want to do anything with the automation? Do you think the date of the birthday is a good trigger date for automation? So I'd be interested in building some things out like that. Sora, on the add-on stuff, let's grab another session on on Zoom, and we can go over that. Yeah, automated birthday email would be killer. So let's. Because right now, just having it in there and having it say, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday, that's pretty good. But being able to automatically queue up these emails and just have this go out, I think that would be even better. Great. Well, anything else? I think I made one more pass through all the chat here. I don't think I've missed anything. As always, the Zoom link, I'll just place this, or the meeting link is here. I'll just place this in the chat. So how to create a system to user email. So the system to user is a name designation that I used to, just to kind of separate, kind of group the templates of emails that were email templates that are designed to be sent to you. Right, that Mago is going to send you a template that says you have a new lead, or somebody has booked a show, or somebody has signed a contract. These kind of templates like that. So yeah, you can use that feature to send yourself reminders. When you create a routine, if you want to schedule a reminder. Let's just do this. Let's say book a corporate show. When you go in here and add a step by clicking on that plus, it's the same action, send an email. Typically what I do with these is I have like a template that's like a show reminder. I don't have one in here. So I would just create a template that says, reminder, show tomorrow. And I might have maybe a link to, the map. It's map link or the distance. I'll just put the map link in there. So I'll say tomorrow at, you'll put in gig show time, right? It's I'll put in here under maybe the distance to the gig. It's distance, and then maybe a map link to click on, and then I might, so we've got this. I'll call this a show reminder. Show date, show time. Yeah, tomorrow at that time. And I might create a show sheet, like a one sheet, like it's a packing list or a set list or whatever I might bring with me. A lot of what I've done in the past is I have a whole little packet that I send to myself the day before the show, and it's the same thing that I would send to the. It's a lot of the same stuff that I would send to the client. It's like, here's my introduction, here's my writer, here's my, whatever. I might do the same thing where I might have a little packet. On page 1 is my introduction. I could print that out and hand it to them because they forgot it or they, whatever. Page 2 is a packing list. Page 3 is a set list, whatever. So I can kind of do all my show prep the day before. So I can put these in here and attach them, or they could, if they're not dynamic, then I would just, in other words, if they're not generated every time for every gig, then I would just attach them as static attachments. And then under here where it says send to, I just click and I say goes to performer. And then I would do this, let's say 1 day before the show. And now I have that as a reminder. 1 day before the show, send email to me, show reminder. So that's how you would add a system to user email. So the real-time notifications, that's actually actively being built right now, to getting real-time notifications in different places, like literally real time. In other words, if somebody opens the email within a second, it's going to pop up on your computer. In fact, let's see. I wonder if I can. Well, I'll. Yeah, so that's definitely coming. Notifications of all these, a lot of different things. In fact, this is a list of the real-time notifications that are getting built right now. Notifications: email read, payment received, contract signed, incoming phone call, new lead, and birthday coming up are all things that will pop up and are potentially able to pop up in real time. So those are all the different notifications right now. I think that's all of them. The incoming call thing is really, really cool. I've got some people working just on that kind of stuff. The idea is that if somebody's calling you, a little notification pops up on your computer that says, "Hey, Patrick is calling you," and I can click on that, and it takes me directly to the record in Mago. So before you pick up the phone, you already have that screen in front of you. So you already have all the information. You don't have to say, "Oh, hang on, let me look you up in my system." It's, "Hey, Patrick, how are you? How have you been since we last talked 3 weeks ago," or whatever. So you've got all that information right there. So yeah, those these are all part of Mago 1.1 that is being very actively and rapidly developed. So some really, really cool stuff. And I'm still holding a lot of the best stuff back. So, because I want to have something to surprise you with, but at the same time, seeing these things working and getting all this stuff in place is super exciting for me. So it's like, I can't, I'm not good at keeping a secret. Let me say that. Goes back to when I was a kid. My dad knew if he wanted to find out what he was getting for Christmas, he could, my mom wouldn't tell him, my sister wouldn't tell him. He knew he could get it out of me. So I'm not much has changed in that regard. So we're at 48 minutes, so I'm going to give a last call for any questions on the chat or in the question box. Otherwise, really appreciated having everybody on the call here, and keep me posted. Anything you're running into challenges with, any questions you have, any feature suggestions. Gonna put a lot of the features up online, like I said, here soon. Found a good platform for keeping all these things organized, and hopefully it makes a good kind of Q&A resource as well for people. So I'm probably going to get. I don't know if I'll personally have time to integrate that, but if not, I can get Luke or somebody integrating that, and hopefully getting all that in place. So one last call for the questions. Otherwise, thank you all very much. I hope you have a great week, and whatever holidays are. Oh, one more question. Great. If I were you, yeah, double opt-in is absolutely the best practice, and that's my preference, just because I'm ultimately accountable for any misuse of my email services. So I talk to people a lot, and their opinion is they don't like double opt-in. They say, no, I don't want to do double opt-in. And I've never understood that, because why would you want to be sending email to people who where there are people who don't really want to receive it? Double opt-in is certainly an industry best practice. And in fact, I went through a process when I loaded everything into a CRM a few years ago. I sent out a re-opt-in. I took every email I got in there, and I went through kind of a re-opt-in process voluntarily to say, hey, do you still want to receive email from me? And a lot of people said yes. A few people said no. But it's fine if they don't. Why? Because they're just going to unsubscribe anyway. And these are things that I'm monitoring. As we're building more and more of these email newsletter services. So right now it is an optional feature, but we can absolutely configure individual accounts to do a double opt-in for the newsletter service. If somebody requests a quote, that's a transactional email, and it's a lot of the definitions for broadcast email, commercial email, and transactional email are shared internationally. But if somebody asks you to send them an email, and you send them an email, that's transactional. It's part of it's covered under this existing business relationship. Somebody says, send me a quote, and you send them a quote. That's not a newsletter. The newsletter piece is different. That's where you're not responding to a specific request. You're sending out essentially unsolicited email, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are newsletters that I like to receive, and there's a lot that I've unsubscribed from. But for something like that, we can absolutely set you up on a double opt-in process. So that's something we can set up per client. There's no limitations right now. There's no limitations on how many emails you can send right now. If you sent out 1 million emails, we would probably have a conversation about it. but it's not something that we're really metering, or it's not something that we're really metering or anything like that. But hey, if you've got an opt-in list of 1 million people, man, good on you. That's an impressive feat, and my hat's off to you. But yeah, there's a point where it becomes, if you've got a list that's that big, there's a point that it becomes, we might have to. It's going to cost me, more than you're paying for for Mago probably. So we'd have to figure something out. But I'm not counting it. For your average performer, it's unlimited. Realistically, it's just unmetered. And I reserve the right to change the policy, but nobody has ever sent in 6 years of Mago and Showbiz CRM, nobody has ever sent enough emails that it raised it got my attention. And this included somebody who sent an email blast of 60,000 or something like that. I don't know, 37,000. I don't know. It was tens of thousands. But hey, Tobias, thank you. Take care. But anyway, Carol also said, is there a way to do a coupon percentage off in a gig? Really played with that a lot in Showbiz CRM because people liked the idea of doing this. But it really became, when it got down to the actual like nuts and bolts implementation, a lot of people found it cumbersome. They have to set up codes, and there's all these other calculations. They have to go in there and configure a code, create a code, give that code to people, set expiration dates, set all these rules around it. The problems that came out of it was, well, I want this coupon to only be used once. I want this coupon can only be redeemed on a Thursday. I want this coupon that can only be done for this type of show in this type of day when it's a full moon. And there were so many different variables. It was kind of funny. It never really worked for anybody. It just got more and more complex. So the design decision for Mago right now was to say, absolutely, there's a field for a coupon code that somebody can fill in, but it's kind of on you to do the it's on you to do, to enforce whatever rules. That way, if you want to offer a coupon code that gives you 10% off, but only for certain types of shows, only on certain dates, then you just, then obviously then obviously you can say, well, hey, I saw you put in promo code XYZ, but that doesn't actually apply in your case. The things that you can do, again, jumping back to this automation, is let's say they run a promo code, whatever. Okay, well, let's do this. I'm going to go create a new routine, and I'm going to call this promo code magic 1, whatever. And this is going to enter in my fees, let's say. So I'm going to say quote 1 is, we'll say $4.50. Maybe it's 10% off, right? And I'm going to set quote 1 run immediately, but they have to book within 3 days, right? 72 hours. You have 72 hours to book to save 10%. And if they don't book, I can go here to update record, set quote 1 to 500, and I'm going to do that in 3 days. And so now I can set up my my rules to my rules for my promotion, whatever that is. Going in here again, maybe I want to say I'm going to create a new email template here that says last chance, save 10%. And did you know, book before whatever tomorrow. Book today to lock in for 10% discount. And then maybe I'll put in the link to book online. So I'll put that in there, send that to the primary contact. Maybe I'll do that. 2 days, save. Right, so immediately it's going to set my price. It's going to, after 2 days, it's going to, maybe I'll even do a discount reminder, right? So I'll say, I'll have a discount reminder email. And I'll say, don't forget, save 10%. Bah. So I'm going to send that out after 1 day. So we have this in here now. So immediately it's going to send this out. And the way I would typically do this is, let's say I have a gig in here and I click automate now. I'm going to click my promo code magic 1, and I'm going to maybe run this as well. So I'll run both of these. and it's going to autofill my price, and I would only do this if they put in that code. So, you know, when I look at it, I can see if they entered the promo code, and normally I would just send them that one. This way, I'm going to run this routine, and it's gonna calculate my prices, and it's gonna change them, and it's gonna remind people, and then you get the real benefit of that you know, that kind of takeaway selling. Yes, you can. So let's just say, let me go back to the gig here. So let's say I run these. So I've got my promo code, and I've got my I don't know. I want to find one that isn't doing data entry. Yeah, typical sales routine, right? So I'm going to run these two. It says I'm going to run 2 routines. Do I want to proceed? Yes. And that goes and processes everything. And hey, presto. Down here, now I have everything that's going to go out. It's already updated the record. That's already happened. And on Friday, it's going to set this up. So I can always click on the remove icon, the trash can, to take this off there. But it's also kind of worth pointing out, let's say they click on this link, this book pay online link, and I'm just going to copy the link address and, you know, go through this. It's also worth pointing out, when they book online, that converts it to a gig, and that cancels these follow-ups as well. So this is kind of, in fact, let's walk through this. So they go through and they say, I'm going to go for option 1, right? And they select the show option, and they go through to pay. You know, they go through to pay. If I refresh this now, when they pay it converts it. Oh, it's already a gig, so it didn't convert. That's my mistake. When it converts from a lead to a gig, this is a bad example because I use this kind of sample gig here for a lot of things. It's already a gig, but this act of booking it converts it from a lead into a gig, and when that happens, it automatically cancels these things. But you can always remove them. You can also work it into your automation. There's a stop sales routine, lead routine follow-ups option in there. And at any point, you can also just like stop everything if you want that all to go away. All right. Well, we're just over the hour here. Again, I appreciate everybody's time and attention here. So again, one last call. I guess this is my 4th last call, but we'll go with it. And let's see. Hey, that's me. Back to my smiling face to say thank you to everybody for checking in, for your time and attention. And as always, I'm available. There is the Calendly link in the email to grab some time to go over any questions, any kind of one-on-one. I'll be a personal onboarding concierge. Merry Christmas to you too, and for anybody where Christmas isn't your jam, whatever holidays, whatever celebrations, even if your celebration is just taking advantage of the fact that you get a day off work and everybody is, everybody's doing their thing. It's, for what is it? For some people, December 25th is Eat Chinese Food Day because the Chinese restaurants are the only ones that are open. Although a lot of restaurants are open for Christmas these days, which I think is a good thing. I'm against the, everybody being stressful and cooking all day. I'd rather just spend time with, with my friends and, the people. If somebody wants to earn overtime on a holiday, then let them. If they want to take the day off, then let them. I believe in letting everybody do what they want to do. So, hey, thank you all very much, and all the best to you as well. Take care.